Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm Jay Light, your host. Joining me, my guest today, Brodie Reed.
Hey, what's up, Jay?
Not much, Brodie. How are you,
What's going on, friend? Pretty good.
Dude, not a lot. I'm good.
Yeah, you got wearing a cool shirt.
Yep. Everybody poops. It's a good shirt. Seems weird to wear it in public sometimes, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's if people didn't know that you were a comedian, they would just be like, "Oh, look at this weird boy." Probably is gonna go home watch YouTube.
Yeah, I walk to work usually, and so in a shirt like this, I get a lot of strange looks from people who are like snapping tourist pictures on Sunset Boulevard.
Everyone in LA, they have such a weird sense of humor.
They're so wacky around here. We were recording on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Sorry I canceled our lunch plans to do this podcast.
I
Just kidding.
appreciate you prioritizing correctly. Career.
Dude, I tried to call my grandma like 3 times today. She has a landline, and she will just not pick up the phone. So she might not get a Happy Mother's Day today. We'll see.
I just realized I should call my grandma. I
Yeah,
called
dude.
my mom. I called my mom already. I'll call my grandma in the interim between podcast wrapping and having to work.
Yeah, seriously.
I can't even remember. I usually don't see a lot of movies with my mom, so I don't have like a mom memory for things. Do you? I can't even remember what the last movie I saw with my mom was. Do you remember what yours was?
Probably 50 Shades of Grey. No, I don't remember at all. You know what? Actually, we went to my mom's house and she was watching Seabiscuit. I feel like my mom has watched Seabiscuit over 100 times. I don't understand.
It's a good mom movie. It seems like a very, very friendly, horses hanging out.
If you said
historical.
anything in the Depression era, I think my mom is into it for some reason. That might be a call for help, but I'll ask her about it later today.
When I was talking to my mom on the phone today, she told me that her and my dad went to go see. What's the name of the movie? It was in the top of the box office for a while.
Okay.
Oh God.
Black Panther.
I can only imagine the Christian rock movie that unfortunately has now dropped to
Christian rock
20.
movie.
Yeah, are you familiar with Christian rock bands at all?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
Oh, let me educate.
I'm familiar with Christian EDM, but not Christian rock.
This is my mom's bread and butter. Because again, like I was super sheltered growing up, wasn't allowed to see a lot.
What state were you in?
I was in Texas.
Okay, got
So
it.
I wasn't allowed to see a lot of stuff. I think the first R-rated movie I ever saw, because I got parental approval for it, was Blazing Saddles.
Okay, that's a pretty good one.
And an R-rated movie, the only one I think my parents would have been totally okay with me seeing, and not just because I begged them to let me go see things, was Passion of the Christ, which I've never seen. I got really no desire.
I haven't seen it either.
That it's like, okay, cool.
I've heard it's kind of like torture porny, which sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, like Eli Roth revolutionized the genre, but Mel Gibson's up there starting it off with a little Jesus torture porn.
Aren't they making a sequel? Is that a joke or is that a real thing?
No, it's a real thing.
Okay, cool.
We got Jim Caviezel coming back for the sequel, Passion of the Christ
And
2.
I'm assuming this
Semitic
is him rising
Boogaloo.
from the grave,
Probably, yeah.
kicking some ass.
A lot of stuff, rocks being moved out of the way, holes in the hands. I don't know how they're going to find a way to work in as much violence as they did to the first one, to the second one, but
I hope they make it as funny as possible, personally.
if Mel Gibson at the helm, it's going to go one or
It
two
could go either
directions.
way, yeah.
I mean, we all know comedy icon movie The Beaver. We can't forget about that. Top of the box office this week, of course, no surprise to anybody, is Avengers: Infinity War.
Wow.
3 weeks in, it has not relinquished its top spot.
How much has it made so far?
So far, domestic gross, $547 million.
Okay.
The official headline from Box Office Mojo, Infinity War tops $1 billion internationally, becoming the 5th largest global release of all time.
Okay.
This thing is huge.
That's crazy. It makes sense.
It just made, this week, $61 million.
Okay.
It is...
That's a sort of a drop, but
it's like almost a
I guess it's
50%
not.
drop. But
Still, I mean, those teenagers, they just got money to spend. They're going to the AMC. They don't give a fuck.
yeah, they don't need Movie Pass.
Yeah.
They can just go. I mean, the second biggest movie this weekend was Life of the Party, which didn't even make $20 million.
That's Melissa McCartney?
Uh-huh.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy doing going back to college, being a wacky mom.
Yeah.
I feel like that's actually probably a pretty great Mother's Day movie to go see.
Yeah, probably. She's got another movie coming out, or maybe it's already out, that's like a serious drama that looks genuinely funnier than
really
than that movie.
I didn't know about this at all.
Yeah.
Do you know what the drama's about?
It's about she's like an author, and she like what's it called when you steal someone else's things?
Plagiarism?
Plagiarism. Yeah, she like plagiarizes, and it looks very dramatic and good.
Oh, you know what? I think I saw a trailer for that where she's like, and
it's got a cold color palette.
Yeah, it's very, very earth toned.
Yeah,
plagiarizing. That's how you know it's a drama. It's because it's all earth tones.
Exactly.
Plagiarizing famous people's work or famous people's letters.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And saying that they're selling them off on whatever the 1950s version of eBay was.
Yeah, you know all about it.
I've watched a fair amount of trailers. I know the things. Melissa McCarthy, I feel like, is probably one of the top mom friendly actresses.
Yeah,
still
seriously.
working.
She's not even a mom, right?
I don't think so. She's married.
I don't want to say
No. She is a mom, a two-time mom.
Oh, okay.
Vivian Falcone, Georgette Falcone.
Okay, cool. Good names.
Georgette. Vivian's actually, that's a good name.
Vivian's my grandma's name, and if I ever have a daughter, I demand that her name be Vivian for sure. So that someday she could be an Aunt Viv. That's the main reason.
It's a good. I mean, keep the tradition alive. I hope as long as there's just one the whole time, and they don't have to transition to another daughter.
My grandma's already pretty light skinned, so we don't get to choose.
We have number 2 at the box office again. That is Life of the Party. Number 3, another Mother's Day weekend release. Breaking In.
Which one is that one?
I think Gabrielle Union.
Oh, right.
Where it's a revenge movie, like the mom.
I just heard it's her fucking up shit.
Yeah, because her daughter gets kidnapped.
Yeah,
and so she's like, I'm gonna fuck up some shit and get my daughter back.
Hell yeah! I have plans to see that next week, for sure, with Movie Pass.
Yeah, it seems like a good old everybody deserves to have their version of Taken. I think.
Seriously.
And this seems like Gabrielle Union's Taken.
Good for her for making number 3. I don't know if you saw that Tyler Perry movie that came out not too long ago, Acrimony.
Oh yeah,
you see that shit?
I did not see it.
Everyone slept on it. It's surprisingly so many people I know didn't even know that it came out. It's fucking dope. It's hilarious and it's dope.
What's it about? Because I know that it's got Taraji P. Henson. And anytime Tyler Perry and Taraji P. Henson get together, it's always like some kind of weird revengey.
That's exactly
thriller
right.
type vibe.
It's advertised as a thriller. In reality, it's like a 2-hour movie, and most of the runtime is dedicated to Taraji P. Henson. Like it goes through her marriage, like from her in college. Like they have a different actors for like the first half of the movie. Honestly, it's the complete surprise.
Okay, and
it basically just walks you through her getting married to this guy who is like the scientist dude, and he ends up over the course of like 15 years, like spending her whole family's money while he's like working on this like project that he's trying to sell.
Okay.
Like ruining her whole family. And then like at the worst, like destitute moment, like they're going to lose their house, all this shit. Like he just continues to be a piece of shit. And then they get a divorce. And then he sells this thing that he's been working on. And he's like a multi-millionaire.
Right.
And then he gives her like $10 million and he has like $100 million. And she's like, hell no.
I'm going to
She goes crazy. And the whole movie is a delight.
Yeah?
It's so great.
On the face of it, that sounds very boring. So what makes it so exciting?
It sounds very boring, but you got to realize that the whole movie is just like, she also has 2 sisters the whole time. So the whole movie is just like a bunch of black women just being like, he did what? And it is very satisfying.
All right.
It's super satisfying.
I think that's one of the best. That's one of the best parts about the Tyler Perry film pantheon. You get a lot of
so
sassy black women.
Because there's like these very romantic scenes in it, and then like to like capo these like super romantic scenes. Like you hear the voiceover of Taraji like present day, and it's just like, if I had known then what that motherfucker would do to me. It's so good. I cannot be understated.
That sounds great. I might have to check that one out.
Yeah, seriously.
I know there's certain movies. I've talked about this before. It's nice to have Movie Pass now because now I can see a movie and I'm like, I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah.
I'll go give it I'll throw a flyer on it.
Exactly. I don't overthink it. I watch so much more stuff, so much more. Yeah, I barely went to the movies before I had Movie Pass, and I'm there like all the time.
I love
popcorns and shit,
dude. Popcorn. I'll get a popcorn. I'll get a movie theater hot dog. And you have to order it. This is a shout out to Parker Searfoss. The only way to get a hot dog at the movies, you have to order it as a movie theater hot dog.
Okay.
And it really confuses the concession people, but they give it to you anyway because it's different. It's different than a regular hot. It's like a gas station hot dog.
Yes,
but you know, I mean, the ArcLight, they're trying to like fancy it up and be like, we're putting it on a pretzel bun and it's chicken apple sausage. No.
Put some cornbread on there, dude. Just give me a corn dog.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit.
Oh, I would love a corn dog at the movies.
I would love a corn dog.
Do you have any kind of? Are you ever sneaking snacks in the movies?
Absolutely.
What's your go-to sneak in?
Man, I'll sneak in whole meals. Like I'll sneak in a freaking burger. Like I don't even care. The last time I went to the movies, my friend made this. She just like had a bag with like loose nuts in it, and I was like, "What are these?" And there were honey roasted peanuts and cinnamon coated chickpeas, and I was like, "Fuck,
that sounds great."
It was really good.
Nice little sweet and savory mix.
Definitely in like a plastic bag, like a grandma snack. It was great.
I did this weekend. I went and saw Tully. And I brought, I got some popcorn to the movies, but I brought a little bag of dark chocolate raisins.
Nice.
From
I love those.
the Sprouts grocery store.
Nice.
So good. Mix it in together.
What is Tully anyway? I don't remember what that movie is.
So Tully is a movie, Jason Reitman directed it, and it's got Charlize Theron in it, and she plays a woman who is having her third child. And she's got to deal with, like motherhood is really wearing down on her. And so her brother at the very beginning of the movie is like, listen, I'm a rich man because I did this thing. And you never find out what he did.
Oh, okay.
But he's like, listen, I'm wealthy now. And we did this thing with our last child where we got a night nanny. And so the nanny will come and take care of your child at night. And that way you can wake up to nurse the baby when you need to, but you can sleep. And you don't have to worry about like waking up and taking care of the kid.
Okay.
And so he's like, listen, I can tell that you're being run ragged. You look awful. So I'm giving you this gift as your baby gift. And she's like, no. And then like 15 or 20 minutes later, she's like, okay. I relent because she literally knocks her baby into a door in the carriage, not like open-headed baby smack.
That's what I was thinking. Just crack, just pivot.
But so then it's just this movie about like her and the night nanny hanging out in motherhood, and her trying to come to grips with like the new, like trying to become like a revitalized version of herself.
Okay, and the night nanny doesn't try to like kill her and take her husband or anything.
No, Lifetime movie shit. It's very heartwarming. And then there's some. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I will say
I'm not gonna watch it.
You should. It's one of those I took fire on.
Maybe I will.
I like Jason Reitman movies, and then I saw this and I was like, is this for me? It was good. There's a nice little series of curves in the last chunk of the movie, and it's 90 minutes, which is good.
Great.
I can't handle it.
I don't even know what a 90-minute movie is anymore,
dude. The one good thing, I mean, I liked Avengers, and one of the nice things about it is that even though it was a 2.5 hour long movie, it didn't feel like one.
No, because there's so much going on.
Yeah, but most movies, it'll be like 2 hours plus, and I'll be sitting there checking my watch like 45 minutes in, being like, "What's going on here? How does this feel as long as it has been?"
Word.
I watched any movie. No movie should be longer than 90 minutes.
I would agree.
I think you can create pretty much anything done in 90 minutes.
2 hours the most, for sure.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I watched Snakes on a Plane yesterday because I'm doing a podcast where I talk about that in a couple days, and I love Snakes on a Plane. It's an amazing movie.
It's fun,
but it's an hour and 45 minutes.
Okay,
and there's a scene. And unabashedly love this movie, but there's a scene where, because they're on the plane, right? Yeah. It's in the fucking title, and they just go through and do a air training safety video demonstration.
Oh, really?
And it's not funny, and there's no need for it.
There's no snakes in it,
but it lasts 2 minutes.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
And I'm just like, you go, why do we need to have you? Okay.
I haven't seen that. I've only seen that movie in bits and pieces.
Dude, you got to watch the whole thing.
I guess so.
It's one of those movies. It's and that's one of the first R-rated movie I ever saw in theaters.
Wow.
And I saw it on my 16th birthday, and I told my mom I was going to go see it, and she was like, "You're not going to get in. I guarantee it." And I was like, "The people at Tinseltown don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit.
And they don't, because
especially if you tell them it's your birthday.
Yeah, they were like, "Cool, it's your birthday." They didn't even check my ID.
They're like, snakes on a plane is an experience every young boy should experience.
And it was, and it is. It really is. Number 4 of the box office, Overboard, $10 million.
No idea what that is.
Anna Faris, the dude falls overboard, and then she's a maid, and then she makes him think that he's her husband.
Very surprised that this movie exists.
It's I
have no idea what's out other than Avengers. I completely, to be honest.
How do you find what movies you want to go see? What's your methodology?
Usually I'm aware of something like way before it comes out, like whether it's from trailers, I'll look it up on MoviePass or just like look it at a website. But I feel like everything out right now, and it's weird because this usually happens around like February, but like it's happening right now. I have like no idea where any of these movies are coming from, like right now that are out. It's just like totally like, yeah, I mean, like we had so many huge movies. Like I feel like Black Panther was just like out for forever, and now Avengers is out. So it's just like I don't even know what else is on my radar. I mean, I saw Super Troopers 2, and like I can't even like I don't know what else there is at all.
I mean, there's a lot of really like kind of middle of the road comedies like Overboard and Life of the Party.
Oh, it's a comedy. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's not an intense drama with Anna Faris.
Yeah, it's Thursday Anna Faris. I don't know what I was thinking.
But yeah, it's the spring sort of summer movie season where we're now conditioned. It's going to be oversaturated by superhero and big blockbuster. I mean, then coming next weekend we got Deadpool and the new Star Wars coming out.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's right.
So that's gonna spike everything. Those could be the ones to finally take Avengers down. We'll see.
I kind of hope so, just because like Black Panther like broke records, like it surpassed Titanic, and I was just like, yes. And then Avengers came out, and it's just like, oh no, we just got this. I want to keep it.
We were so close.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Black Panther is still in the top 10, by the way.
That's
lingering 13 weeks in.
Dude, that's just 13 reasons why.
It's
the 13th, baby.
It made almost $2 million this weekend.
Damn, dude.
Still
so did I.
Hey, congratulations! I'm proud of you. A lot of people came to see, got out of their chairs to come see you.
Yeah.
Just hanging out at the box
come see
office.
me at Sauce.
Number 5, A Quiet Place.
Cool.
$6 million. Haven't seen it yet. I want to.
It's a fun movie.
I never grew up as a horror movie fan because I think I think the first horror movie I even watched was Halloween Town.
Dude, when Are You the Afraid of the Dark used to come on, like I remember like being like 6 years old, and like when the title would play, it would say like TVY7, and I'd be like, oh fuck, I gotta change the channel.
Yeah, I couldn't. You gotta look around and like, oh, someone's gonna come in here and see what I'm doing.
Yeah, but Quiet Place isn't that scary. It's not that scary.
No?
Nah.
Oh, okay. Noted. I mean, I would go see it anyway, even if it was scary.
There's a couple jump scares in it, which I don't really appreciate, but it's a fun movie. It's good. The acting's good. I liked it.
I'll go see it.
Good pacing.
I'll go see it. It's made a lot of money. Almost $200 million off a $17 million budget.
That's really impressive, actually.
Yeah.
They're gonna make a sequel, I bet.
Oh, for sure. At the very least, now John Krasinski's going to have.
He's so fucking happy right now.
License to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, seriously.
Number 6, I Feel Pretty.
Oh, okay. Wow, congrats.
$3.7 million.
I haven't seen it. I heard it's bad.
Yeah, I heard it's bad. There was a big news this week with Greta Gerwig. Like somebody tweeted, live tweeted Greta Gerwig being in the audience of I Feel Pretty.
No way.
Yeah. Here, actually, let me see if I can find out.
Live tweeted it, and she was just like not having it or something.
Here we go. Yeah, she wasn't having it. This is from Jay Hunt on Twitter.
Cool.
I'm in a movie theater about to see I Feel Pretty Alone, and Greta Gerwig just walked in and sat down in front of me.
Wow.
She's drinking the biggest movie theater soda I've ever seen. I always thought no one ever ordered the extra large, but Greta Gerwig
She could afford
it. Let's see. Greta at the end of the opening credits. Let's see. She just loudly pointed out a plot hole and someone shushed her.
Oh, wow. Did she yell, "I fucking made Lady Bird"?
Probably. Actually, yeah. She says, "I hate this." Full volume during a heterosexual love scene. She's checking her phone. Greta, if you see this, don't stop the commentary. I love it.
Nice.
Amy Schumer entered in disguise, and Greta loudly went, "Oh my God," and scoffed. This is the DVD commentary this movie deserves.
Oh, wow.
Full volume at the quietest moment of the climax of the movie. This movie is incomprehensible.
Okay, not a great heckle, but
The movie
funny.
ended, and she said, "A.D. Bryant was wasted in that."
I agree. A.D. Bryant is wasted most of the time.
A.D. Bryant, man, she's going to be the new Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, for sure.
Once she's off
She
of
deserves
SNL, she totally does. She's fantastic. I love watching her.
Yeah, there's a lot of strong women in SNL right now.
All right, you got Kate McKinnon, Melissa
And for the
Benoist,
last
they're
10
doing great
years,
stuff.
honestly. Yeah.
I just watched. This is a movie tangentially related thing. There was the last night, one of the new women, Heidi Gardner, I think is her name.
Okay.
The one who is Groundlings. She has this character that's
Yes,
movie. It's like a teen movie reviewer for YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And it's great because it's just her just like falling in love with Thanos
That's
for
great.
Avengers Infinity War. There's been so many Avengers Infinity War related memes.
Many.
And
We're saturated.
I appreciated them even before I'd seen the movie, and now that I've seen it, I'm like, you guys are weird.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Yeah, Thanos is super thick. I want his body." I'm like, you guys, what have we become?
I kind of love it.
I still think I'm glad that I avoided all the spoilers and was able to check it out and see it with fresh eyes. And now
Yeah,
I can
me
appreciate the
too.
memes better.
The spoilers like really came in full force, and because so many people have seen it, it's like it's hard to not. And it's such a memeable movie too.
Yeah.
Especially the ending if you haven't seen it. But like people have been you've seen the Photoshops.
I've seen the Photoshops, and I didn't realize that was an Avengers meme.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it was like, oh, you guys have just been spoiling it this whole time.
Yeah, seriously.
I didn't even realize.
It's a little rude.
So if you guys exist on Twitter, Avengers has been spoiled for you. Just so you know.
Sorry.
Hey, sorry. Rampage, number 7 at the box office.
Interesting.
Keeping alive.
Man, I can't wait till that Hungry Hungry Hippos movie comes out.
Dude, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's going to be great in that too.
Yeah. He plays all 4 hippos. Mocap.
They should just let him. He can pick whatever board game he wants.
Yeah.
And he can make a movie out of it. Board games, video games.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, Jumanji is technically a board game in universe.
Right.
Yeah.
If they remade, did you ever watch the Clue movie?
Yes.
With,
I love that
Tim
movie.
Curry?
I've seen it many times.
If they remade Clue and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson played all of the characters,
You really threw me for a curveball.
it would be. I would love it. I mean, I already love that movie, but
Yeah.
get him in there, playing Mrs. Peacock. It's going to be a fun time for everybody involved.
It is.
Number 8 at the box office, Tully, which I recommend. Go see it.
I already forgot what it is about. Just kidding.
Number 9, Black Panther, which we have covered, and number 10, the surprise entrant, taking down teen sex comedy blockers.
What?
Is RBG?
RBG.
Documentary about Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh, super interesting.
It made
wow.
it made $1 million this weekend.
Wow. Good for them.
Yeah, and it's only on 180 theaters nationwide.
That's wow. I didn't know she had that kind of pull.
Everybody loves that.
I thought people love blockers more than they love Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Nah, I think everybody's starting to get tired of hearing teens talk about, how much they want to get slammed on prom night.
Have you been on the internet? I don't think that's true.
You're right. No, you're totally right. See, I've been on the internet, and everybody's talking about their virginity disappearing into the wind. Oh, my pussy doesn't feel so good. Oh, no. Well, the movie that we've come to talk about today thankfully has been out of the top 10 for several weeks now, and I totally understand why. It is made $134 million at the box office, still sitting at number 15. But realistically, one of the worst movies I've seen this year.
I didn't even see the entire movie. I went to see it with some friends and I had to leave probably like 20 minutes early, so I didn't see like the last like 15, 20 minutes. And it's for sure the worst movie I've ever seen.
We're talking, of course, about Ready Player One. Brodie Reed hates Ready Player One.
I don't. It's not even like a thing that like I hate it. Like functionally, it's not a terrible movie. It's not like the worst movie experience I've ever had. Mm-hmm. But like every decision that went into making this movie, like categorically, like this is absolutely everything that I hate about making movies. It's just so generic and like it's just like so A to B. It's gross.
Yeah,
it's so awful.
It's a movie that, for those of you who have managed to avoid seeing it, good on you. Congratulations.
And there's probably some people who have seen it who like probably disagree with us. So you probably thought the movie was fine, and like the movie was like made to be just fine, and that's what I hate about it.
That's where I fall on it. I think, and so Ready Player One, 2018 American science fiction action adventure film, produced and directed by Steven Spielberg, starring a bunch of people, takes place in the year 2045 when much of humanity uses the virtual reality software Oasis to escape the desolation of the real world. Mm-hmm. Orphan teenager Wade Watts discovers clues to a hidden game within the program that promises the winner full ownership of the Oasis and joins several allies to try to complete the game before a large company run by businessman Nolan Sorrento can do so. It's based on a book that was very popular back in whenever it came out.
Like 5 years ago, something like that.
Something like that. And I remember the book coming out, and everybody was like, "This is great. This is like the pop culture pantheon of our time."
So many people told me that book was good. I haven't read the book. I've read synopsises of the book, and I've read like excerpts from it. And all of those people who told me it was good are absolutely wrong.
Really?
Yeah, they have to be wrong. I get why people would be attracted to movies like that. Like I am a nerd. I have read books like The Neuromancer and like Snow Crash. These are books from
I've never even heard of these books.
So these are books from the 80s, which like coined the term cyberpunk, like before it was like a thing.
Okay.
This was like straight up like basically both of those books kind of share plot similarities to like The Matrix. Before like the internet was even a thing, people were like in sci-fi, it was like a thing. So where people were like putting on headsets and like plugging in to the back of their necks, and then they would like step into like the Second Life type of world where everyone could be whatever kind of avatar they are. They could be ninjas or whatever, and then they would do just like cool shit. They would fuck shit up. So it's very similar to Ready Player One, except that book was written 30 years after Snow Crash, which was like one of the first books, or it's either Snow Crash or Neuromancer was the first one of those. So this seems like it's a new thing, but it's really not. What Ready Player One is to me is like in the last 30 years that we've seen like nerd culture just go from like these kind of fringe things that like people used to like be get called weird for liking and stuff like that. Like we've seen it in the last like 10, 15 years become super popular because sci-fi has become a thing in movies because we have CG now. Like sci-fi is like literally everywhere. Star Wars is back again. You know, we have all these Marvel movies. Like it's cool to like be a nerd to the point where it's like too cool to the point where like people who are making movies are like, okay, these are the people who are going to give us money, so let's make what they like and make it the most generic shit we can. And that's what Ready Player One is. Ready Player One is like all the trends that we've seen in the last 10 years have led up to people greenlighting all these decisions that are generic and bad. And it's given us this movie where we have, you know, a straight white male protagonist, which not a big deal, but then you have, you know, his best friend who is black, but an orc. I'm tired of that shit.
Right.
Well, we have two Asian people who are we given no character development, who are a ninja and a samurai, respectively.
Yep.
We have a gamer girl who, of course, falls in love with the dude immediately. My favorite part in the movie is that she said she doesn't want to meet him because she has a horrible disability or something.
Right.
You don't know, and then you meet her. She has like a tiny little scar on her fucking cheek or something
it's a
like that.
birthmark.
And she's just like a beautiful woman. It's just like, fuck this movie. Every decision in this movie is lame.
This movie really got, and it's been getting backlash since, not quite since the trailer came out way back at like Comic-Con last year. Because the trailer, it made it look cool. It did the good trailer thing of
It does
putting
look
in
cool.
like
It's got money.
Yeah, and it put in like a cool, it put in what Tom Sawyer was the song,
Yeah, that's right.
which is like perfect. That's the kind of trap you fall into where you have a movie it's average to bad, and you put it and you make the trailer look fucking awesome.
Yeah,
like we talked about Sucker Punch on the podcast a while back with Keith Carey, and that trailer was gold. It had when the levee breaks, and it was the perfect, like Led Zeppelin was like, oh, we're hard rock and we're doing some crazy shit with dragons and big old guns and women with swords. Holy shit. And Ready Player One's trailer did the same kind of thing where it was like, cool, we're gonna show off some really sweet racetracks, and there's gonna be a lot of cool fights. And oh my god, is that Freddy Krueger? Oh my god, that's the Iron Giant. What?
Yeah.
And then a year goes by, and then everything starts to come out more, and you're just like, oh, okay, we'll see what happens with this. And then the first real big bit of backlash that I heard about it was before the movie came out, when they started putting the posters up everywhere, and
and they were all just like they were like fanfic posters of other properties that were also in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
They did the Matrix takeoff. They did the Blade Runner. And I think they did a Jurassic Park one. And everybody was like, this looks so stupid. Back to the Future one. Everybody was like, why would they do this? This is just like the nostalgia factory. This is everything that's wrong.
I mean, it makes sense. If you're in marketing and someone plops this on your desk, you're just like, yeah, just recreate these popular movies.
What I wonder is, because I agree 100% with you about how nerd culture has been taken and brought into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Because it is, there's just something about like, not how it's easily marketable, because you can boil it down. Like, that's why I think superhero movies are so popular now, is because you had, back in the 80s and the 90s, you had a couple that came out. You had Batman's, you had Blade, you had Spider-Man in the early 2000s. But you take these complex superheroes with these crazy long backstories and people who have loved reading about them for years. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, let's see if we can boil it down enough to have like one or two cool character traits and then market it to the mainstream.
And normal people can understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that they can do that, because if you hire somebody who can write well enough, they can turn anything into a mainstream phenomenon. And that's what happened. And so now the market is way oversaturated with all of these movies that are taking all of these beloved characters and boiling them down to just like the distilled, not even essentials necessarily. Yeah. Just like the biggest, like, oh, we can glom onto this point about this character.
Yeah. It's even weird, like in Infinity War, because they've put all this, like, they've done all this like tapestry work and they've like set up all these things. It's even more apparent. Like when I watch Infinity War, it's just something just felt super off to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's no fucking X-Men in here. There's no fucking like Fantastic Four, and then just like the reality of like the legalities of all these properties and stuff, really bleeds into it, and then there's just too much for me to think about it, and then I kind of just like stopped having as much fun, and that's how I mean I still enjoyed it, but like as super nerd, growing up like reading comics, it's just like, oh man, I want a Wolverine in here, you know what I mean? Yeah. But like when I watch a movie like Ready Player One, and a lot of people have made this point of there's so many properties being used in it that those properties aren't really used to like what they stood for. For example, Iron Giant is supposed to be kind of like a pacifist, and then he's used as like a giant if you have never seen that movie before, he's just like, oh, this is just some kind of giant killing monster, you know. And so all of that stuff becomes just surface area things,
Right.
and it doesn't become any deeper than that. And they're pigeonholed into it. I mean, if it's a book, maybe it's different, but if it's a movie, it's not. And then everything that we do get that is original in this movie is really just trying to like take all of those properties and like distill it into the most kind of like middle of the road generic thing of just like, yeah, there's this boy, he has to save the world or whatever. There's this girl he likes, she's kind of badass except for when she needs help. And there's other friends, then they kind of do stuff, but they don't really do stuff. And the corporation's evil and stuff like that. It's just like, how many times have we seen that movie? Like, if I didn't explain to you like the trappings of it, but just the structure of it, we've seen that movie so many times now.
Right.
And I feel like I personally am getting tired of seeing that same story over and over again.
Right.
And that's because of we've seen these superhero movies so many times.
We've seen, and as a nerd, you've seen that from the very beginning, before it was even in movies.
And we will continue to see it for sure.
But that's it. It's inescapable.
It's inescapable.
Which is
what are you gonna
really,
do?
really unfortunate.
Yeah.
It should be. And I've been thinking about this lately because the Infinity War is the first superhero movie that I actually enjoyed from like start to finish.
Oh, really?
In a while. Like I saw Thor Ragnarok, I liked it. I thought it was a little long, but I liked it because it felt like it was not. It wasn't a superhero movie. It was a comedy that happened to have superheroes in it.
You see Spider-Man: Homecoming?
Never saw it.
Oh, that's a good one.
I heard Spider-Man. I heard the Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War were both good.
They're cool.
But like somebody showed me the clip of Civil War when Spider-Man shows up, and it's a buddy of mine who's super comic book nerd guy. He is really into all that stuff, and he's followed the MCU from the very beginning. And I kind of fell out around the first Avengers, and I was just like, all right, I see what's happening here. And I legitimately I went and saw that in college. I was in a frat in college. I saw it with frat brothers, and they were all just like, "Fuck yeah, it's superhero!" And I was like, "This feels wrong. There's something that feels off about this."
It's a weird cynicism that you feel when like something that like you loved so much and it felt like personal and like you sort of identified with it, and like now it's like everyone is seeing it. It just feels like when you're like your girlfriend, like your ex-girlfriend or something, became like an Instagram model or something.
Right.
Like I don't know how else to explain it.
It's like it makes me wonder if like people who like if hunters feel this way when they see dudes wearing like shirts with wolves howling at the moon on them. Like if they see that and they're like, "Oh man, that went fucking mainstream. I remember when that was just for me." Yeah. And it's like that's kind of how it feels. It's like the market's too saturated. It doesn't feel like it's this niche property anymore.
Right.
You exploded it, and now it's lost the heart that made it compelling to begin with.
Yeah. It's very interesting, but I mean, like, maybe we just feel like that right now. I mean, for example, Star Wars was super popular when it came out, back in the 80s and stuff, and then there weren't a lot for a long time, and then, like, the people who continued to like Star Wars, like, it became, like, their thing. Yeah. And, like, now that it's back, it's, like, a thing for, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
I think, so the thing I think that Ready Player One does wrong that doesn't differentiate itself from other franchises. Well, and it's not a franchise to begin with anyway. It's just pulling bits and pieces from literally from entirety of like 80s pop culture and beyond. But it takes, a Star Wars fan base, right? In between all the movies, they had this whole extended universe that developed, and they had movies that came out that were critically panned, and then they had movies that came out over the course of the past couple years that were like really popular again, and they finally sort of harkened back to the way that it felt to see for the first time again, I guess. MCU movies, the same sort of deal, and Christopher Nolan Batman movies, same sort of deal. It's like, oh, it feels right.
Yeah, I feel like I get the point that you're making, because I feel like all of these things, even if they are mainstream, like they're still made for the fans. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're made for their universe. They're like true to the heroes, or like the stories are like actually good. They're like made for the fans. But then like a movie like Ready Player One is like not even made for that to enjoy as itself. It's like still made for those fans of other things,
Right.
You know what I mean? It's almost it's weird. It's like a appetizer plate.
Yeah,
with
it's
a
like
bunch of things on.
it's a TGI Fridays sampler platter of pop culture.
Yeah, CGI Fridays. That's what we'll call this movie.
CGI Fridays.
Yeah.
Man, but it's one of those. So, what led you to want to see Ready Player One?
I just had Movie Pass, and my friends also had it, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go see it." And I wanted to see it just because I was like curious, and seeing it for free was also like it would look cool. I knew I was not gonna love it, but I didn't expect it to not like it as much as I did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew what it was going to be. I knew that I was going to think that it was garbage. But around the time where they did the Shining scene, if you haven't seen the movie, there's a 10-minute long scene in it where they basically just parody The Shining, like almost like the most iconic shots. There's just like a bunch of weird robot orcs running through the hallways and stuff,
and they're so clear, and it's weirdly bad CGI.
Yeah, and like I had a lot of people, not a lot of people, but there were people who were just like, "Yo, I love that scene." I'm just like, Stanley Kubrick, if he were alive, he would have killed himself.
Yeah,
like that. Like, I cannot believe Steven Spielberg like did this. I think it's the worst thing he's ever done in his entire career.
It's so, for somebody who has been such an acclaimed filmmaker, to do
our
that,
most famous director ever, probably.
It's like a slap in the face.
It really is. Not enough people are talking about how stupid that was.
That was one of the things I think that really struck me about how bad this movie was. Steven Spielberg, great director, right? We can say that.
And he came in like late in the process. I'll give him that.
But if you're gonna make a movie like this, and for it to be, and it's sort of in that classic Spielberg-y vein plot wise, and it's and he's drawing from the era legitimately that he made his best movies.
Yeah.
When this is all sort of based around, all of a sudden for it to come out and to feel as phoned in as it is, and to feel as stock and honestly hacky as it is, it's not. It just seems like there's a waste.
Yeah, there's no way for it not to feel phoned in, considering the content and considering so many things. I mean, like, I feel bad for I don't feel bad for the actors because they got paid, but I mean, like, how are you supposed to care about this?
Right.
I don't know.
And like, and that was, I remember watching and looking at these actors, and I'm like, I know you're good actors. I've seen you in other movies where you've done a good job, but all of this just feels like something that it was like a TNT original movie.
It feels like these people did it for their real.
Yeah.
Like, good for Lena Waithe and stuff, but she's better than that.
She is. She's totally better than that. Ben Mendelsohn's better than that.
Yeah, and it's weird for me to say. I mean, like, if I were an actor or something, and a year ago someone like plopped a script down where like Steven Spielberg's attached to this, I'd be like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't fault any of those people for being in it or saying yes. I don't really fault anyone. Like, for this movie, I don't fault the people who did the CG. Don't fault the people who did the makeup. Like, there's some really cool. Like, the art direction was cool. I just fault I fault all the decisions people made, like, together. It's almost like, you know, when you hear about things like global warming, or like, you know, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Like, this movie is like the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's just like, we hear about it and we're just like, how did this get so bad? What do we do about it? I guess we don't know. I guess recycle more, but like, we don't really have an answer.
Yeah.
That's what this movie is to me. It's almost like an inevitable thing that our culture was just gonna give us by accident, of like, oh, this is the monster that we've created together.
Yeah, this is the fucking chimera that we created in a lab, and now it's eating us alive.
Yeah.
and we just have to sit and watch and be like, yeah, I guess we did this to ourselves. You know, we've been wanting to live in a nostalgia factory for the past, I don't know, 5 years.
Yeah. I think after watching that movie and watching Avengers Infinity War, when I walked out of Avengers Infinity War, even though I enjoyed it, I just thought to myself, you know what? I think I'm done with this genre for a while. I don't want to see any more big movies for like a year or two. I just want to see small like character pieces or, you know, avant-garde shit. Like, cause when I was a kid, like I never would have imagined I would get a movie like Avengers Infinity War where there's just so many heroes that I like doing so much cool shit.
Right.
Like I don't know what else I want from a movie. Like I feel like after this, the only place to go is they're going to start making movies out of anime. They're going to give us an Akira movie. They're going to give us like a Neon Evangelion movie probably or something like that. And then there's just going to be a period in time where we just don't know what we want anymore.
I think we're already starting to get to that point.
Yeah.
I think at this point, because you know that people are going to go see this movie.
Oh yeah.
Studios are making these movies knowing
it's a sure thing.
It's a sure bet. Mindless entertainment and you don't have to think because you can already see it and you get the references and you can already see it and you're like, no, this plot makes sense to me.
And if I weren't like a hypercritical like person who is in the industry and like wants to direct movies someday and was generally not as critical as I am like period as a person, like I probably would have enjoyed this movie. Maybe as just like a popcorn movie, the same way that someone would enjoy a Transformers movie, like. There's so many bad decisions that went into it, but if I'm just fucking trying to like eat some popcorn on a Friday night with my friends in high school, I'm just, you know, I'm gonna enjoy it.
Right.
But I would be wrong.
But the thing with that is like to go back to Snakes on a Plane, right?
Okay.
When I was watching Snakes on a Plane, I knew exactly what I was getting.
Right.
A well-made B movie.
Right.
And because it doesn't aspire to be anything bigger than that. And the thing with Ready Player One, especially Ready Player One, and certainly with other movies of its genre that are coming out now, is that it's being a popcorn movie, but it's also trying to do something else, and it feels like it's trying to say something else on top of being just a popcorn movie.
What do you think it was trying to say?
I feel like this movie.
I don't know if it.
I think that. I mean, it feels to me like they were really trying to have a message in there because it's about VR, right? And it's sort of set in the near future society, and they're trying to be like, don't escape,
right? Yeah.
And there's even that scene where the main builder of the Oasis, the guy who Mark Rylance plays, is. At the very end, he's like, "Yeah, you got to be in the real world, man." And I wish it was in the real world. And I'm butchering everything of it, but
no, yeah.
But that's they're shoehorning in a message.
In a way, they kind of accomplished that message. I did
by making a movie that makes you be like, "Oh no, man, I gotta tap out."
Yeah, exactly. Or you're like, all this shit is stupid. Maybe I should go outside, and not watch movies like this. I did kind of enjoy, even though it's the most trite thing of just like, everyone in this real world is on their VR headsets in a way that's like it's like if an old person like made a movie about video games of just like these kids are wasting their time, you know, and stuff. What I mean, so it feels like really fuddy-duddy.
That's exactly what it is. It's Steven Spielberg, an old man making a movie about video games.
How old is he, by the way?
Steven Spielberg,
80 now.
He's got to
like
be
70. Maybe?
I think he's at least in his 70s.
Yeah,
Let's take a look.
I think so.
Wikipedia, what do you got for us?
Oh my god,
age 71.
Yeah, okay, that's not that bad.
Yeah, but still, like, the other people who are in their 70s who I know are going to say the exact same thing, essentially, about video games. People who I know who are in their 50s are saying the same thing about video games.
Yeah.
Like, when I was a kid, my mom didn't even want me playing video games.
Yeah.
Or going to go play, like, Magic the Gathering at the comic book shop or whatever.
Yeah. I grew up as a gamer because I was an only child. But, like... Yeah, VR these days is like literally so amazing that like it's going to be 5 years tops before I'm an old person. I'm just like, you don't need all this. You don't. Back in my day, we had 8 bits and that's all we needed.
Right. And we had things on cartridges. Now you just download the data directly to your computer.
Yeah, I am kind of thankful that we grew up in the age that we grew up in because we're living at the apex of basically humanity. I mean, like. Yeah. if you took all the last thousands of years, people basically, they had horses and carts and stuff. What I mean, it's only in the last 100 years that we've had industrialization and like electricity and all these cool things.
Right.
So like now we're like reaching a point where like, the world's going to run out of resources in like 100 more years or something like that. But we get to like enjoy these things that we've like just got sort of.
Right.
But like we've seen them go from like PlayStation to fucking like, we have VR now. It's a real thing.
Right.
It's cool.
I remember when my friends back in the day had a Virtual Boy, and I was like, "Oh, this is crazy!"
Yeah.
And now I have a friend who has an HTC Vive, and every time I go over there, I'm like, "What happened?
Yeah.
What kind of crazy world are we living in that this is possible?"
My only life goal is to like work really hard at like making movies and shit for the next 30 years, and then once I retire, I'm just gonna catch up on all the cool shit that they invented until I die. It's gonna be sweet.
So, as somebody with the dual threat of a filmmakery mind, and a filmmakery perspective, and a nerd mind and a nerd perspective,
that's every filmmaker.
Yeah, exactly. But where do you think? Where do you think this movie could have been changed so it didn't feel bad or phoned in? Anything in that realm?
I just don't think that this property should have really been made. Even as a book, honestly. Because it's just too meta to contain its own kind of like heart, So it's very difficult for me to say. I kind of think that they did the best that they could. Even though I think it was the worst thing in the world, I don't think it was like a completely shitty movie,
Right. It's fine.
If you enjoyed it, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think it was the worst movie in the world because of my own taste and because of I know so many like corporate decisions went into it. So that's my criteria for it being bad. I think like a small thing that they could have changed. Like I feel like some of the stereotypical shit could have changed. Like everyone in this movie who like owned a company or was wearing a suit was just like a white guy. I'm so tired of that. I really didn't like seeing the only black character be an orc. I didn't like seeing the only Asian characters be a ninja and a samurai. I think that some of the plot could have been less. It's so you can see everything coming.
Yeah,
like 100%. This is the most like generic movie I've seen in a while. Yeah, I haven't read the book. I know that the book is different, but whatever that they changed was probably bad. I don't know.
I mean, I know one of the things
it's just so generic.
One of the things I've heard of that exist in the book that doesn't exist in this is there's for the last one of the last challenges is that the main character Wade. I can't even remember his fucking generic names. Wade has to literally recreate a scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Dialogue wise, word by word.
I would rip the page out of the book and burn it.
And that passes for plot development. It's just rewriting lines that were written. Yeah, it's just like
that book I feel like was written. It should that book is almost like a parody. You know what I mean? It's almost like a Douglas Jones kind of just like this is just like it's for nerds, but like don't take this seriously. You know what I mean? But I think a big problem is that they do take all this stuff seriously, and I do think that they could have made a movie in this type of world. For example, Snow Crash and Neuromancer take place in these type of worlds, but like the stories don't have to be generic.
Right.
You can make a story about anything, and not make it generic. But it's just that easy.
Yeah.
But whatever. Doesn't matter.
Steven Spielberg, man, quit phoning your things in.
They all made money. Who cares?
Yeah.
He still made Jaws.
It's still
He'll survive.
The fourth highest grossing movie of the year. God.
What are you going to do? I don't know.
I mean, it's going to get knocked out by Solo, A Star Wars Story, Avengers Infinity War.
Yes, it is.
Deadpool, all of the other superhero and movies that they couldn't fit into Ready Player One. Hey man,
Hey man, people are gonna like what they like. Like it if you want to. That's cool.
And if you like it if you want, hey, you're probably wrong, and you shouldn't like this because it's not for you.
Yeah.
Okay, leave it to us, please. Brodie, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Where can my listeners find your work?
You can follow me on Twitter at AyoBroBro. And you can check out my website, brodie.com. I'm trying to put out a lot of short films this year, trying to learn to be a better director. So check it out.
Nice. Yeah. Check that out. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram.
Great name.
Thank you so much. Got that from high school, way back in the day.
Was there a fatter J?
No. Somebody was like, J Light, that's like half the calories of fat or regular. And I used that for my opener for a long time. I was like, oh, it's like Diet J. Hey. And anyway, yeah, so that, and then jlightcomedy.com for show dates. If you're listening and you live in San Diego, I will be there this weekend for Comedy Heights. I'm doing 3 shows, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Those will all be on the internet, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Brodie, thanks so much, man.
Thanks, dude.
This has been Blockbusting. Everybody, go see something. Go see something good for a change, please.